The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2021 WGC Dell Match Play DraftKings picks and preview. If you out there want to play in the best tournament on DraftKings, play in the Pat Mayo Experience Listeners League. Link is in the description of this video and podcast. $15 to play, 3 max entry, no rake whatsoever. So that makes it the best tournament on DraftKings, and one that you want to play in. It's going to fill super quickly, and if we can fill it super quickly, because remember, this tournament starts on Wednesday morning, not Thursday, so there's one less day to try to fill it, so get your spot right now. If we don't fill it super early, we're not going to be able to max this out for the Masters, and who wouldn't want $100,000 in the prize pool rake-free at the Masters? So get off your ass and start to fill the Pat Mayo Experience open. Okay, thank you. Also, fantasynational.com, all my tools and all my stats that I will be using throughout the course of the show from fantasynational.com. Go to fantasynational.com/Mayo and get yourself 20% off. And there is a nice hook this week. Of course, we always have the lineup generator available to all members of any price point. Every membership is exactly the same. It's just for longer periods of time. And, you get the annual. It's just a bit cheaper than paying it per week kind of thing. But it's open to everyone, and Moose has rigged up the lineup generator this week that it will generate you lineups where you must have at least one player in all 4 of the bracket quadrants. So that is something that should help out, because if you're trying to get the optimal DraftKings lineup this week, you would probably need all 4 players in the final 4. To help me break this all down, from DK Live, it is DJ, Jazzy, Geoff, Ulrich. Now, I guess the thing is you want to have all your final 4, but the chances of you actually getting the final 4 is pretty minimal.
It's tough, man. I mean, obviously with the salary structure that DraftKings throws in there as well, you can just pick all the favorites, but you gotta still fit it into 50K, and you're gonna have using guys like the Van Rooner or other long shots like Adam Long down there at 6K. So it's a fun week to make lineups, but yeah, man. I mean, this one, if you get 4 through to the semis, whew, you can start counting those checks pretty quickly, Pat, because you'll be one of the few.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think the last time that this tournament happened in 2019, I don't think a single person in the Giant $5 got all 4 of them through. But it was actually a really good week for me. I think I had 2 of them through, or maybe that was the Bubba year that happened. Either way, if you get 2 of the players in the final 4 and 1 guy in the finals, like you're doing pretty well in terms of this event. I wouldn't really be worried DraftKings strategy-wise about leaving a ton of money on the table, because as Justin Ray pointed out on Twitter, only like 33% of the top seeds actually win their group. So you can get real freaky with your lineups if you want to. That's not to say that like top seeds aren't going to play well, but there's going to be a ton of top seeds that don't end up moving on. Hopefully it's just not the ones that you're taking. So I kind of spelled it out on the first look show, but I'm going to see if you disagree with this at all. Like, out of your 6 picks, you do want at least one of them if you're hand building and not using the fantasynational.com/Mayo for the discount lineup generator. 1 player from each quadrant, just to give you the chance of having all 4 people through. And you probably don't want to take 2 players from the same grouping, correct?
Absolutely, dude. I mean, and look, the generator on Fantasy National, absolutely, it's a great thing to do, especially for people like me who, I'll go back and check 3 times and I'll still make a mistake just from that. But you still want to give yourself a chance at getting the top 4. I mean, you need to. It's just smart business, right? Like, if you do run that hot or whatever, why not give yourself a chance? And realistically, you need your guys to go through as far as possible this week as well. So, generally do not want to be targeting the same players in the same pod. I'm sure there's some cash game strategies where maybe, you could really increase your chances, like getting like 1 guy through a pod. But even in that circumstance, like you laid out, 33%, like there's just no guarantees that even if you have 2 guys in the same pod, that you're going to end up with the winner there. So it just really just does not make sense to do that, quite frankly. And you can take advantage of the people who, will make mistakes like that. And quite frankly, it is a mistake if you do it, then just by being careful and making your lineups, in line with the bracket like that. So
So even if you are playing for the optimal lineup in this sort of circumstance, I probably wouldn't even take two guys. And this is probably a bit overthinking it, but I'm probably not going to even make a lineup where my guys have a chance to play in the round of 16 either. I'm just really going to try to maximize all 6 of my guys trying to go the farthest. Now, if you get like a 6 of 6 lineup out of the pod stage, you're probably going to be looking pretty good in the money as well, regardless of what happens.
Absolutely. If you get a 6 of 6 on the pod stage, you'll be looking pretty good. I mean, I guess you could run terrible and go like 0 of 6 in the round of 16, but even then you'd be getting so much extra points with that extra match from 6 golfers. So yeah, I think in general, you want to try and stay away from the round of 16 clashes as well. You know, there might be some cases where you just kind of end up on like 2 really cheap guys and they might meet in the end of the round of 16. That might be okay because, again, they're cheap guys. If you get a pod victory from them, that'd be insane at their salary. I guess you can make that argument. But realistically, you kind of got to throw what we know about like PGA Chalk out the window. Like we know like PGA Chalk has actually been hitting pretty well. I mean, we know the big guys come through for us. We know what players when they're undervalued, and a guy like Joaquin Niemann last week being a good example. But you kind of got to throw that away this week. This just isn't how this tournament works. It just really doesn't favor the favorites, quite frankly. It's all about craziness and volatility. So really look at the brackets, give yourself the best chances, because that's how you're going to maximize, in my opinion, your chances of winning in the long run in an event like this. You know, not getting those clashes early on, giving yourself at least a chance to hit those optimal kind of results.
Well, let's speak about the favorites in this tournament, because you're going to want to spend some salary. It's not like the favorites don't have a chance. In fact, as per the betting odds, they do have an excellent chance of winning this event. It's funny because we look back down at the past 4 years that this has been at Austin Country Club, where it is once again. This will be the 5th year. It wasn't an event that actually happened last year, but Day and DJ win the first 2 years, and I believe they were both the 1 seed or at least top 4 seeds in that tournament, both top 4 players in the world at the time. Now, DJ is still the number 1 player in the world. Jason Day, not so much. But then Bubba wins the year after that, and then Kisner wins the year after that. So it can kind of be anyone. I guess I would say that the guys that you would want to take who aren't the favorites are ones that play really well at Pete Dye courses.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think, you know, if Dustin or John Rahm comes in this week and they just get in a groove and playing well, they're probably going to blow the doors off of everyone. And that's fine. But, you know, again, like you said, you don't want to, you don't need to just discard all the favorites either. You can still pick your favorite guy from the top and ride him and still leave salary left over, quite frankly, from the other choices. But at the same time, there's a lot of opportunity here for mid-tier guys. I mean, we saw Kuchar and Kisner, 2 guys who bunted off the tee, but they can get red hot on Pete Dye courses with their irons and their putters. And this course it profiles like this. It's a shorter par 70, or is it par 70? I can't remember. It's a shorter course for a PGA Tour setup anyways. It's a lot of scoring holes. Guys like Kisner and Kuchar can absolutely compete with their irons here. So I think that mid-tier opportunity, it brings a lot of opportunity, quite frankly, in the betting odds as well. But definitely some good players like that to target, you know, especially ones with good Pete Dye track records. Absolutely.
So for key stats, I'm really just looking at wedges and birdie or better and opportunities gained, because triple bogeys don't really mean anything. That's just you lose a hole. Big deal. Whatever. Can you go back the next hole and go stick it to 2 feet and make your, you wouldn't even have to make your putt at that point. It's a gimme. So I wouldn't really worry about those players who put up massive crooked numbers on scorecards, unless they're just consistently doing it. Then they're not going to win, obviously. But that's sort of the chance that you have to take in a tournament like this, especially when you're looking at the very bottom end of the field. The 2 crossover courses, strangely, that I think I would point to, maybe 3, and 2 of them are Dye courses. One would be the RBC Heritage, just because, you know, Kisner and Kuchar, 2 players who just seem to excel at that course over time. Even Jason Day has historically played that course very well. DJ in his limited appearances, you know, he's been 54-hole leader there twice in his career and kind of gagged it on Sunday, but he has played well at Heritage in the past. So Harbor Town would be my number 1 comp course. Number 2 would probably be Seaside. So the Sea Island Seaside course for the RSM. That's been some pretty decent crossover there too. And then the Travelers Championship, TPC River Highlands, another Pete Dye course, one that like Bubba and Casey go run train at every single year. Good thing JB Holmes isn't in the field here. He's playing at Punta Cana, so we have to worry about him mucking up the works and slowing everything down. But he's just another player who tends to play well at that course over time. So those would be the ones that I would be targeting for this week if I just wanted to compare a little bit.
Absolutely love the love the TPC River Highlands comparison. I think the most out of those ones. It's got the risk reward par four there too, which we do have here. I think that just there's certain players again like Bubba and DJ, just aggressive off the tee. It kind of plays to their favorites. So again, just a mix. This type of course is always going to bring in a mix, just like River Highlands does. I mean, you can see shorter hitters just get hot, but big hitters, if they're driving it really well that week, they can take advantage of some of these scoring holes. And it's a fun course. I think it's a perfect course for match play, quite frankly. And I think by the multitude of different winners we've had here, I think it kind of shows that because everyone can compete here. It's a very wide open event. And again, it speaks for fantasy purposes. You can get nuts, like you said. You can leave some money on the table. You can target some 4 seeds here, and because they're live, everyone's live here, in my opinion. So
I took the average round tee to green between Harbortown, Sea Island Resort, and the Seaside Course and TPC River Highlands, and put it to an average per round, leaving the top 5 players in the field tee to green: Wiesberger, Sergio, Rory, Bryson, and Hovland.
Wiesberger was not the name I thought was going to be popping off there front, but no, that's interesting. Again, just a mix of players, though, right? I mean, it just shows you that these are courses that guys can get hot on, and it just doesn't necessarily take like one certain skill, one like big off the tee or whatever. So anyone can get hot with their putter. Certain guys definitely better at it. A Webb Simpson guy profiles like that. Obviously, he's made his career off doing it. So just keep everything on the table this week. Keep everything open because realistically, it's going to bring a lot of players into play this week.
I wanted to briefly touch on some of the injured players before we come in, but are actually still in the field right now, because I think that eating the chalk here probably isn't the end of the world because you can leave some money on the table and it's fine. But I think that because of Berger's injury, and he's in group 14, which is on the other side of the John Rahm pod, that John Rahm is going to be immensely popular because of this, just because his path to get to the quarterfinals just seems a whole lot easier than other people if Berger is truly injured from this rib injury. So, and even on that side of the bracket, you have both Matthew Wolff, who's returning from injury. We don't know really what his status is. He might go and hit one shot, and that's the end of him. He goes and collects his paycheck, and that's the end of him. Then you have Berger with this rib injury. I assume if it was so bad, he wouldn't be playing, but we've actually seen him hit one shot at a WGC in the past and then withdraw to just collect his free $30,000, whatever it is. Good on him for doing it. I mean, I would take the free payday too, but I think that might lead people towards Rahm overwhelmingly of the very top end plays, just because on paper his path looks a little bit easier. But like we pointed out, that only 33% of the top seeds move on. So, Ryan Palmer might upend him in his group anyway.
Yeah. And look, I think it's a good place to start with the injured guys. I mean, also in that group, like I forgot Harris English just pulled out of the players for no reason at all. We don't even know what's going on there. Again, we don't get injury reports. It certainly isn't good that he pulled out of a huge event like the players. So there could be something going on with him. That group looks just weird, right? No one strong is probably going to come out of it, even if Berger comes back, because can he last the whole week, right? So yeah, Rahm definitely setting up well. Kevin Na is another name, I believe. He withdrew from the players. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think he did.
He did. So yes, he was in my $200 single entry lineup. Thanks, Kev.
Oh, perfect. So you remember that one. That's good. So Kevin Na is another name, obviously in the Dustin Johnson group. I think that'll make Dustin Johnson even more popular as well. So right off the bat, I think we're talking about DJ and Rahm, two guys who have obviously done well at this event already. They're going to be popular. They're going to be popular DraftKings plays. There's no doubt about it.
They should. I'm trying to figure, because I have stars next to both their names on fantasynational.com right now. Like, just maybe this is the better way to do it. From those guys, $10,000 and above: DJ, JT, Bryson, Rahm, Morikawa, Rory, and Xander. I'm crossing off Xander, Morikawa, and Justin Thomas right off the hop, because obviously you can't play everyone. I like some of the sleepers in those groups, whatever. That leaves DJ, Bryson, Rahm, and Rory for me as the guys that I'm probably going to try to whittle that down with your help. But those are the 4 that I'm leaning towards of the favorites right now.
Yeah, fair enough. And I mean, I'm definitely kind of the opinion that, like with Xander's group, I'd probably be crossing him off. I go down $200 to Cantlay, which is just a better pivot. He's got a better group. He's playing well. I shouldn't say he's playing better. He's come off a terrible performance. But Morikawa is interesting. He does feel a little bit overpriced, perhaps. So I can definitely get behind that. Maybe still a little bit not settled with the putter. And then you look at the other guys. I mean, Justin Thomas in a group of death, I wouldn't have a problem, or the supposed group of death from here. That's what people are calling it, right? With Usti and Kisner, two match play specialists. So I wouldn't have a problem crossing him off as well. That kind of leaves you with Dustin, Bryson, and John Rahm to sift through, which isn't bad. Obviously you could probably still fit two of those guys in. You'd have to get pretty extreme in your other picks, but I'm all for that as well, crossing those guys off. Rory, I haven't quite made a decision on. I feel like Rory is probably a guy I'd be okay leaving off. I know he's got great, kind of Pete Dye history. He's good in this event, obviously, but just with where his game is at right now, I don't know. I don't know if he's quite got the confidence here to make a run. So I'd probably be, again, more in tune with trying to get exposure to three of those top four guys and crossing off that kind of second tier with Rory and Xander.
I actually think this sets up really well for Rory. You mentioned the Dye history. His game's kind of in the toilet right now by his standards, not by actual standards. Yeah. And we just saw Justin Thomas play shitty, win the Players. So yeah. I don't think it's too far away for someone like Rory who's had some nice runs.
It's never that far away, right? I mean,
and this is a nice low pressure spot for him to go do something too, because if he doesn't advance out of his group, who cares? There's going to be a bunch of one seeds that don't advance. Him, Rahm, and DJ might all not advance. And then who cares if Rory doesn't? It's no longer a story at that point. So I think that the pressure's off of him a little bit this week. And I do think from the DraftKings side of things that he'll probably just be lesser owned than all these guys.
Yeah. And look, from an ownership perspective, absolutely. Because, that could definitely change my mind on Rory as we get to Tuesday night here. If the ownership is just getting ridiculous from his group, I mean, again, just to remind myself, look, it's not like his group is overflowing with talent. I like Cam Smith too, but I mean, I'm not scared of Lanto Griffin. I
am. I'm scared of Lanto. I think that Lanto is we're in Texas and he just gets. It'd be like how
he can get stupid hot with his putter. He can really get stupid hot.
Yeah. And that's sort of the thing that I was looking at. Outside of Bubba, who is, as I mentioned to Feinberg, is sort of stats don't apply to Bubba Watson. Either he's the best player in the world or he's garbage. It's almost like looking at Siwoo Kim's stats. Who cares?
Yeah.
Do you think is he going to have a good week or is he going to be the worst guy in the field? They're both sort of like Ricky Bobbies in golf. But other than that, DJ, Day, Kisner, these are all really good, not only Pete Dye players, they're also really good putters at the same time. Louis plays well here almost every single time. Why? He's a good putter. Yep. I'm active, unlike what I normally do every single week in golf betting. I do think that there is something to being a good putter this week.
You look at just the match play guys. They all seem to at least have some kind of consistency or just better upside with their putter, right? So I don't disagree at all. Again, Rory for me, I think that group is gettable, but Cam Smith and I guess we can throw Lanto in there are guys that you would worry about. For me, Rory stands out as, again, he'd be a pure ownership for me. I'm still not confident that he's quite there, but you're right. The pressure could be off a little bit. Could definitely see him at least coming out of that pod and maybe getting to the quarters. But if he has to deal with Rahm in the quarters, I don't know. I don't know if he's quite there, but that's an interesting pod just because of the names that are there for sure.
Well, the guy that I actually like from down in that quadrant, I guess we'll get to him a little bit later on. I'll save that one. Although if people watch my betting show, they're going to know who it is. I look at the 9K area on DraftKings and I can't see the only one I would consider playing, I think, might be Webb. Although I like Hatton way more in that, or I like Casey way more in that group, but I just feel like no one's going to use Webb.
Yeah, that is the worry with Webb, right? Because you look at that bracket with Casey and Webb, and just as I'm trying to find it here, Mackenzie Hughes and Taylor Gooch. I like Taylor Gooch. He's improved as a player. He's got high pedigree, but this, do I really trust him to get hot over 3 matches against two very good players? Not really. So it's kind of got to be Casey or Webb, and everyone's going to side with Casey just because of the match play records. It's just so much better than Webb. So, I think Simpson at 9,100, I kind of agree. I don't like to eat the massive chalk in events like this, but Casey really does stick out. So Webb could be a great pivot there. Jordan Spieth, obviously at 9,300, overpriced over versus Fitzpatrick. I kind of like Hovland this week personally. If Morikawa is going to be 10-4 and Hovland's going to be 9-4, I think that's fine. I know people are high on Answer. I love Answer too, but Hovland's a guy who will make an 8. and then bounce back with 3 birdies. Like, that's the kind of guy you want to back in match play. So I don't think Vic is going to be too bothered by like making a bogey or two. He can definitely come back hot. So I do like a couple of these guys in this 9K range. Definitely like Cantlay for a bounce back too. He's got a good die track record, and quite frankly, going up against Hideki, who has never advanced out of the pod stage. Yeah, I'll take Cantlay there. So I'm almost of the opinion that I kind of like going with balance lineups, to be honest. And this 9K range is probably a little bit more attractive to me than you.
I think you just make some sort of stances of who you think is going to win a group and then just overload on that and pray that this is the year that you're right. Like, I look at that Cantlay group and I think that Brian Harman wins that group.
Brian Harman is definitely, he's like the Lanto of that group. He's dangerous. I mean, I said on a show, earlier today, like, he made Ricky Fowler cry in match play. I mean, he's just a really tough competitor and a really good putter. So, Cantlay and Harman for me in that group, since we're talking about specifically now, they'd be the targets. But I do think Cantlay, with the way he started the year, I think he's got to bounce back this week. A guy who needs kind of one good start too before the Masters, so he should really be keying in here.
I agree that he should be the overwhelming favorite in that group, and the price point is really nice on him at $9,800. I just think that there's something about this course. After Bubba having so much success here, Phil's had some success here. The last time Harman played in this group was the year that Bubba won, and he won his group and then lost to Bubba in the round of 16. Right. I think it just kind of sets up for lefties, kind of like the Masters.
It very much could be. And look, I mean, if you're not on the Cantlay train, I mean, I think Harman is a great target there. Obviously, we're not really scared of Hideki, although now, every time I talk him down, he seems to pop up. But, I think it's a good target to kind of to go with. I mean, who's the fourth person in that group? And I can't even remember now.
It's Ortiz, which is really interesting because Harman.
It is interesting
because Harman and Ortiz have just been putting the lights out, and I don't know where this has come from Carlos Ortiz, but apparently he's figured something out with the putter, and then the rest of his game has abandoned him at this point. But like, if Harman just continues to roll it like he's been doing, like, he's a tough out.
He's going to be a tough out. He's going to be a very tough out. Again, I'm at the point with Cantlay where I just feel like his all-around game is in such good shape. He'll be able to grind down. He'll be able to stick with Brian Harman and grind him down eventually. But that is going to be a tough out. Like I said, it all depends. If you're of the opinion, you want to get off this like DJ Rom chalk and you want to start your lineups like at 9K, I'd have no problem starting with Cantlay personally. And I like Hovland too. But again, if you are of the opinion, like, you got to get exposure to DJ, you got to get exposure to Rom, probably just skipping Cantlay and going and using Brian Harman from that group is probably the best. Cause I do feel like Harman's, he's probably going to have better chance than his group odds indicate. So,
well, we're going to be incredibly wrong about a lot of this stuff, but there's a few groups that I look at that I think that are really, just because the skill sets in them and the types of players that are in these groups and what we know about their profiles, that makes them really wide open. Like I'm like everyone else. I love Answer this week. I've already bet Answer to win this event.
Yeah, that makes sense.
At 65-1, great die player, kind of solid across the board.
Yeah.
Make a few putts, Abe, and all of a sudden you're doing a little bit better. And we know that he can putt in certain times, where he's not like a disaster on the greens, like Corey Connors, for example, who, could strike the shit out of the ball all week. And, if Jordan Spieth's like, nah, man, I think you got to putt that one out, that all of a sudden he turns his 1-footers into like lost holes somehow. But this Hovland group is super interesting because of the types of players that are in it. So you have Answer and Hovland, and everyone's just going to gravitate towards them. But you have Wiesberger and Streelman, who are like two of the streakiest guys on the planet.
Yeah, I know. I like Wiesberger, I just don't even know. I mean, I love the Euro guys. I mean, like, I overplayed them last week and they cost me a bunch of money, but I love it. I'll gravitate towards them because we know that they're talented players, and sometimes we think they're undervalued here. But yeah, Wiesberger and Streelman coming off a good week too. I mean, these guys can get red hot with their irons, so they both can be pretty terrible with their putters too at times. So I mean, again, for the match play format, is that a good thing or a bad thing? But I mean, Vic can be pretty bad on the greens as well. So it does all sort of speak to why, we all like Answer this week, or why we're all probably going to be targeting him in some fashion. And I wouldn't put anyone off him. He's got a good DraftKings price as well, but it is a pretty wide open group. Again, if you are starting with Bryson and or Rom or the duo of those two guys, I mean, you're obviously playing against, the lineups that are going more balanced with Hovland. So definitely targeting a talented player like Wiesberger has value here. Streelman, the same thing. I just mentioned he's coming off a good performance, has a pretty good die record as well. And Travelers. So Streelman at the Travelers, another nice connection there. If we like the connection here for answer, I think he can pretty much make the same case for Streelman. So I think all things considered there too, just to give people a straightforward answer, I probably would side with Streelman over Wiesberger if you're going for a low value there in that group.
So the 8K range is where two of the guys that I've bet come in. So my final is Hatton versus Day. So I'm going to play those two guys. And I mean, I wouldn't even hate, like, just because you can leave so much money on the table with the way that everything works out, that if I think that's the final, I could start my teams with Hatton and Day if I really wanted to. Leave 1,500 on the table and just play it that way. It's probably not sensible, but I don't know. No one else is going to have those lineups, I don't think. And the only other guy from the 8Ks that I really like is Neiman at $8,000. He is in that. Where the hell is Neiman at? He's in the Patrick Reed group, and everyone's just going to play Patrick Reed. But Bubba's not playing well coming in. Seabez, who knows? I mean, if Neiman could have just chipped at the Honda, he would have been like top 3.
Yeah, I mean, that group is tough because Bezadenhout is or Bezadenhout or whatever is playing extremely well right now. He's going to be a tough out because that dude can putt. Like, that dude can absolutely get around the green. So you're going to have to really grind Christian Bezadenhout out of this tournament. It scares me a little bit with Neiman, to be honest. I just, with having to get by Reed and Bezadenhout in that same group, who the hell knows what Bubba's going to do. But I don't like it. I think I would rather just pay up for Reed or go with the South African there with the funny name that I've probably mispronounced 10 times. But Neiman's playing great. He does look like a nice price. I mean, he's definitely not overpaying for him like you would be for Spieth or anything like that. So where is Reed at in the salary, actually? So it's a pretty big discount off of Patrick Reed, like to get a second seed there. So I could see it. I think I'd rather go down to Bezadenhout at 76, but yeah, that group that's a tough group.
Should we just play the narrative that, like, no matter how poorly Kevin Kisner is playing coming into this event every year, he just does well at this event every single year somehow? Should we apply the same logic to Bubba Watson? I
mean, what did Bubba do here, like in last time? Do you remember? Because I didn't even look it up this morning. I'm just out on Bubba. I mean, he's obviously not making cuts or anything, but I probably shouldn't just write him off. I mean, it's like you said, it's just a completely different format. Stroke play almost doesn't matter. I mean, a guy like Bubba could easily just flip the switch here. He loves, there's certain courses he just comes alive on, but I don't know. I feel like with the group he's in this year, I don't really want to go there. I just feel like getting past Reed and these other two guys, it's going to be too much of a task to ask for him. So you could make the case for him, but I'm not going to.
Bubba in 2019 was 1-2. So he did not advance from his group. In fact, the 4 seed Kevin Na advanced from the group that year. And then the year before that, he actually won it, or he won in 2018. And the year before that, he advanced from his group as the number 1 seed against Vegas, Peters, and Scott Piercy, 2-0-1 that year. And I think he lost in the first round. Did he lose in the first round? It's really hard to find information on this tournament without it getting incredibly complicated. He made it to the round of 16, then lost to Ross Fisher, who then lost to my guy, Tani Hara, who then lost to DJ, who won.
Oh, I remember the Tani Hara year. Yeah, that's...
I had the two losers in the semifinals. I had Haas and Tani Hara that year.
You had Tani Hara that year? That's impressive, man. I mean...
Well, I only bet him because he loves smoking cigs on the course. I'm like, I'm in.
Oh, okay, right. Oh, right. He's the cig. Okay, now I remember. Yeah, it's all coming back to me. Feels like forever ago. It kind of was now, but anyways.
So that's the 8Ks for me. In the 7Ks, I mentioned Brian Harman. I have him written in at $7,200. I think that's a nice price for him. And you're going to have to double up in some spots. One guy that I just don't think anyone's going to go after, and it's another one of these groups that I look at that everyone's just kind of the same to me, and I don't think that there's a huge differentiation between the 1 seed or the 4 seed. So I'm probably going to take 2 guys out of this pod and mix and match. I won't play them together, obviously, but in different sets of lineups. I like Kokrak at $7,500, and I like the 4 seed in that range, and Hot Fire Dylan Fratelli, who is exceptionally cheap. He is. Yeah. Where's Fratelli? Yeah. Fratelli is Smelly Fratelli. Where are you at? Now I can't even find him. 6,500. So he's a salary saving guy. Finau and Zalatoris are great players, but they don't scare me.
No, they don't scare me, and they're both pretty bad putting, to be honest. Pretty bad at putting. Zalatoris, nice player, like you said, tee to green, but that was pretty much the take I had on this group as well. I think Fratelli's very live. I'm pretty sure Fratelli's gotten out of the pod here at least once. He might even got to the quarters one year. So, Fratelli he's quite frankly, he's improved his all around game. He's a better putter of late. He's been up and down. He burned everyone last week, or he burned me anyways. And Kokrak's really improved his putting. So I'm on the exact same page as you here. I think that group is wide open. Finau could impress and just go nuts in the pod group or something. But if that doesn't happen, I think one of those guys, Kokrak or Fratelli, will get through. They're just better putters right now for sure. So pretty much with you. I think that's a good group to target, with a guy like Fratelli. I don't think there's much of a talent gap between any four of these guys. So, Finau's sure the best player, but those other guys all have really good upside as well. So that's definitely a group I want to target in that range. Did you say you're in or out on Justin Thomas?
I'm out on Justin Thomas. I just don't.
So who are you playing from that?
I don't think I'm going to play. The only one the only one I'm thinking of playing from that group is Kisner. Okay. That obviously makes sense. He's still putting really well. I just couldn't remember if we had talked about that group or not. I'll probably play Louis, but of course, Kisner. It's either Kisner or Louis for me. Of course, I'm going to side with Louis. Don't need to get into that. So in the sevens, I have Answer, Kokrak, and Harmon. Those would probably be my guys.
Answer, Kokrak, Harmon. Yeah. Again, Answer, I just feel like is going to be the ultimate chalk. So I might end up pivoting off him. If he doesn't get up there, I'd probably grab a piece. I like Bazenote if I'm playing. I also will say this. I think Russell Henley playing really well. I think that group is up for grabs for sure. I think of that group, I think that's a good group to kind of target two players, Sungjae or Henley. So Henley doesn't have the greatest match play record here, but all of his losses at this course have come by one hole. So he's been really close in his other appearances, which is kind of interesting. I think he's putting really well right now too. He's gained strokes putting in 8 straight events. Sungjae's putting well. So I like both those guys in that group. And I think that's a good strategy. Obviously don't play them together, but you can split them between lineups. That's probably what I'll be doing for that group.
In that group, in the top end group, I actually like Leishman in that M group. I think that he's still kind of perfectly suited for this type of event because the putter started to roll again. We've just seen all the flashes of his game throughout the course of 2021, and he's yet to line it up in the same week. But he's had success at this tournament. He was the one who just took down Bryson in 2019, went 3-0 in his group, and then lost to Louis in the round of 16 that year. So I just think where his putter is getting a little bit better right now, that he is just someone sneaky at a cheap price in the 6K region that I think you can use. And the other guys would be EVR, Fratelli, and JT Poston in that Morikawa group, where Pete Dye player makes a ton of putts, just get hot for a few days.
Yeah, and no one's going to play JT Poston this week after he just completely bombed last week, right? So I'm definitely down with that. I completely agree on the Van Ruin call. That group is just, there's so many question marks there. And look, he was fine last week, Eric Van Ruin, until the final round. But again, we don't care if he makes a 10 on one hole because it's only going to count as one lost hole, right? So I like the value there for sure, or not the value, just going down cheap. Just for salary, right? At 6,400. Everyone else kind of below him. You could, again, it just depends on who you're playing at the top. If you're not playing Dustin Johnson, Adam Long is live. The guy can get red hot as well. So, why not?
I actually have Kevin Na winning that group.
Or
Kevin Na. We don't know what the injury guys I find really intriguing. The guy I didn't mention that I'm most definitely playing because I picked him to go to the Final Four and he's in the 6K region. I'm just going to take a chance that Matthew Wolff is healthy because I look at that quadrant. So you have that Justin Thomas group with Kisner and Louis and Kuchar. I feel like any one of those guys, just because the bottom three have played so well at this course over the years that someone can trip up JT. Let's get rid of him. Then you look at Wolff's group. It's Fitzpatrick, Connors, and Spieth. They're all kind of the same type of player. Then you have Wolff, who just bombs away. So if this year, for whatever reason, it leans towards bombers, which we've seen in the past. Kisner's the only non-bomber really to win this event. When Jason Day won, he was one of the top distance guys on tour. Then you have Bubba and DJ. That if Wolff is right, I think he can kind of steamroll these guys a little bit, but he could just be hurt and suck.
Look, you're getting Matthew Wolff at 6,900 in an event with insane amount of variance. He's going up against three players who, you can't say any of them are like elite right now. They're playing well, but I mean, it's like you said, the best player in the group long term is Matthew Wolff. So why not take a shot on him? He's under 7K. He's coming off like 3 weeks of rest. There's reports about Matthew Wolff. He was just having a hard time mentally. I can't even remember. He was just alone for long stretches or something. But sometimes rest does your mind really good, right? So at the very least, he's coming in with completely different preparation than the other guys. And like you said, if that works and the other guys are kind of all a little bit fatigued or whatever, he could just blow the doors off that group. So, I'm kind of, this morning I was having a little bit of trouble figuring out that group. There's no one clear that I want to just be like, yeah, that's the guy I'm going to target for this reason. Wolff might just make sense just from a low ownership and a salary saving perspective. The worst thing that's going to happen is going to lose his pod, and you lose out a guy who's under 7K. Who cares? You're probably going to have a ton of lineups like that anyways. So,
well, Berger was the other one that I was thinking about. No one's going to use him, and if he's fine, then he should win his pod.
Yeah, the Berger group is a little bit easier for me to figure out because I would say. Definitely Berger. I mean, let's not forget the guy had a rib injury at the Players and he still finished top 10. So how bad is it? But then you just target Berger or Van Ruin because again, I don't know what the hell's going on with Harris English. He hasn't been playing that well anyway, so I don't really want to target him. And Brendan Todd, whatever. I'm fine fading Brendan Todd. So go with the cheap guy in Van Ruin or just pay up for Berger because if Berger gets hot, I mean, he's like the par 70 master or whatever. So he can definitely get it done as well.
All right. I think we talked this through a little bit. Just remember, take at least one guy from each of the quadrants and try to figure out the rest. That's the strategy that you want to go with this week for the match play on DraftKings. Who do you have in the final four?
Okay, let's go through this. I don't want to screw this up.
Louis.
Let's go. Let's start here. I'm going to take Sung J M from the first group. I'm going to take Hovland.
Okay.
I'm going to take not Louis Cantlay. And then I'm going to take who am I going to take from that side? I'm going to take Scotty Scheffler.
Scotty Scheffler.
Cantlay, Scheffler. No, I can't even remember who I picked. Hovland and M.
I don't think Hovland's going to be... I kind of like your Hovland call, because if Answer doesn't win and Hovland just kind of steamrolls them, no one is probably pushing it, but I would imagine very few people are going to be using Hovland by and large.
I mean, again, it's kind of like the anti-Answer. Like if you're not playing Answer, I feel like you're going to get good leverage on Hovland, right? And I do feel like maybe not that many people are going to be targeting that 9K range because the 8K range, I admit, is like I mean, just listening to your final of Day Haddon, it kind of makes me think like that's a really realistic final. For good two guys in the 8K range, it makes a lot of sense to me. But at the same time, I think the 9K range you get good ownership there. So,
and I think more people will gravitate towards the 8K range than the 9K range for more of their picks. I think like cumulative ownership is probably going to rest in the 8s over the 9s this week, which is usually a good reason just to play the guys in the 9s. So I'll try to figure that out as I work my way through it. But my final four is Hatton, Answer, with Hatton going to the finals, and Wolff versus Day, with Day going to the finals, and Answer and Tyrrell Hatton winning over Jason Day. Although if Jason Day wins, I'm probably not going to mind it too much. But I think that's probably the best way to think about your lineups this week is look at the bracket, fill out a bracket, and just essentially make your core the guys that you have in the final four and work backwards from there.
Absolutely. Working backwards helps. Filling out the bracket helps because you'll be able to see, which guys do you think has a chance at the finals? It's kind of funny. We didn't talk too much about those two groups, but like those are going to be two of the funnest groups with, all the English guys, Hatton, Westwood, and Wallace, and then Day with Scheffler and Xander are going to be super competitive too. But I mean, we have obviously we're going to have different picks, but I mean, I think both our results are at least they're realistic, right? So we'll see how it works out.
Any chance? I saw Siwoo was talking smack to Bryson on Instagram. It's a Pete Dye course? Just at least have one lineup with Siwoo? Oh,
for sure, man. I mean, again, like you can't play all the studs. I mean, you look at that group. You got Siwoo on a Pete Dye course. You got Bryson, maybe his focus is a little bit off. I mean, and look, Bryson match play. I mean, he's the guy who likes to come out and measure stuff and likes the stroke play. So no, I'd absolutely be about it. I mean, look, the ownership percentages are going to dictate a lot, but if I'm targeting anyone other than Bryson in that one, Fleetwood for me just isn't there. I'm not even going to attempt to make an analysis on Rosner. Siwoo Kim would be the guy I target there for sure. Other than Bryson.
Are you going to buy any of Bryson's new NFTs?
NFTs, the 1 of 1. It actually looks pretty cool with him, just the one that throwing it over the lake. No, I'm not going to buy it though.
Should. You'll probably cost like $30K.
I'll probably make like 30 grand in like 24 hours, right? So
yeah, you might as well be the high bidder on it. That would be an awesome, like there actually are a couple cool Bryson moments to own if you could.
No, for sure. Like, other than, like the Gronk came out with it first, but the Bryson ones actually look cool. Like I was looking at them right before we came on, and I'm not, like I said, like it's the one of him hitting over in Bay Hill. It looks pretty cool. So it's definitely playing more towards my heart as the golf fan, than the Gronk ones one, which I just don't give a shit about. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'm going to wait, gets a little more mainstream, whatever.
I mean, I will that be the highest price? Like, 'cause I think they're all going to go up for auction. That I would guess that the point over the lake at Bay Hill would probably be the highest, even like more so than his wins. That would probably be the most valuable one at the moment. I want the one of him fighting with the official at Memorial. But like, he wanted to play the ball from underneath the fence, but then he wanted to jump the fence. I want to own that one.
What about the anthill?
Yeah, you have the anthill. You could have him having the lost ball in like just off the fairway at the Masters that they found like 2 seconds later after he took his drop.
Right. So many good Bryson moments really to choose from here. But I think he's minted them, like the one with him across the lake is a 1 of 1. So I think they've minted it like that. So I think that's going to be ending up being the most expensive one. It's called the Distance Special Edition 1 of 1. So
Distance Special Edition 1 of 1 Bryson DeChambeau NFT, a non-fungible token. How much money do you think that sells for? Over under 100K.
I think it'll be under 100K. I think it might even be under 50.
I think it's going to be over 100K.
Actually, for the 1 of 1, I shouldn't say that. I'm going to say actually right around 100K for the 1 of 1. Because yeah, I think that's fair.
All right, let's start pooling.
Probably going to be something stupid like that.
Let's start getting our money together. I got like $30. How much you got? You're a lawyer.
Ex-lawyer, and I got like $60 kicking around. That's a good start. Let's just put it in.
But we're both Canadian though, so that's only like $20.
Well, we'll just need to win the $10, Pat, and we're good.
Yeah,
can invest in the we'll split a lineup.
I mean, it might be
we won't do that because it's against the rules, but you know what
we'll split the winnings so we can buy this Bryson NFT of him pointing over the lake or him fighting with the rules official. Like, I'm telling you, there's Bryson's the perfect guy for this. Spieth would also be a really, I mean, obviously Tiger would be the best one, and Phil, like ridiculous shots would be kind of
Phil.
It's strange because like you have these highlights in basketball and Top Shot is so huge, but golf and MMA kind of work perfectly for these things.
I mean, look, when the golf actually gets more traction and we see more of these, I mean, it's legitimately going to put a dent in my pocketbook. I'm not going to lie. I mean, there's so many good golf moments that they could capitalize on. I mean, just thinking about Phil, you could have the one where he's like doing the CBD oil down the fairway or something.
Or when he chased the ball down at the U.S. Open before it stopped and was just like, fuck this. Like, I think there's hilarious ones that you could have for golf. But like, I think the UFC is eventually going to get into this. Like, you can buy like the best knockouts ever. Like, that seems like an awesome market to be in.
The first, Ultimate Fighter fight or whatever, it's absolutely, man. Like, I like the technology. I think it's a great idea. You can own them online. You don't have to store them in the cupboard, or your safe, like I have to do with my safe sports cards or whatever. So, absolutely, man. It's going to be cool. Like I said, once it gets a little bit more mainstream, I'll be dipping in. Got to get that Louis Oosthuizen Albatross from the 2012 Masters, Pat. That's what I'm saving up for.
And I'll just go and buy the Bubba Watson hook shot from the woods to win the Masters that year and beat Louis in the playoff.
Oh, that one hurts still.
What do you think would be the number one golf like overall? Would it be the Tiger putt at the Players or the Tiger chip on 16 at the Masters?
What about just like the Tiger like tap in for the win in 2019. I don't know. There's so many Tiger moments. Probably, I would say the one at the Masters, the 16th, would get the most. I think the players, just by definition, it's the players. It's not a major. It's not the Masters. Would probably be, definitely top 5 for sure. But would probably get behind the 16th at the Masters. I think that's probably Tiger's biggest thing. Again, you might just get some simple moment though, like him putting his hands up in the air. That one. The Tiger ones will just be ridiculous when they get around to it.
Yeah, well, golf will most undoubtedly be last at doing this. I think that's why,
Absolutely.
I think that's why Bryson's taking this into his own hands right now. He's like, yeah, I'll just do this now. And in 20 years, when golf catches up to this, they can have their money then. I'm just trying to think what would be the top Tiger moments. I guess the PGA Championship when he beat Brad May, like the point to walk it in to force the playoff.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
That's a good one.
Really good...
I mean, I'm always prone to his Canadian Open shot where he put it over that lake at Clun Abbey out of the bunker to beat Grant Waite in 2000. That'd
probably be a really underrated one too, right? Because like only old guys like you and me know that. Like, the newer kids on the block wouldn't even remember that shot. But that for a long time, that Canadian Open shot from the bunker was known as like the best shot ever in golf. Like, pros would go out there and try it and they'd be like, this is impossible. Like, how did he get it on the green from here? So there'd be lots of underrated ones. You'd have to really go value hunting for Tiger moments like that. There's a couple just insane, approaches. I know he had that one from Mexico from the bunker where I think he hooked it like 20 yards or something crazy like that. So there's so many good moments that they could put up there for sure. But that one from the Canadian Open, that's a good one. And the point from the PGA definitely be a top 5.
Like Phil and Spieth would just be super interesting because they'd have so many like weird shots that would be super memorable. Like when Phil played that flop shot that went backwards and somehow ended up like 2 inches from the cup. Like, what would be Spieth's iconic moment? Maybe his eagle to win the first Masters on 13 when he was yelling at it, or the putt he made to come back against Kuchar at the British Open.
That's what I was going to say. Isn't that the one where he pointed to? Yeah. That's going to be like a top 3 Spieth one. The other one is when he won the Travelers and he did like the
that's right,
high five with Greller.
Remember that? Yeah. He did like he did the bump out and Greller through.
That's
the
what
rake.
they did. The bump. Yeah. The old chest bump.
Also, the Patrick Reed hand to the ear at the Ryder Cup moments would be great too. There's tons of them that would be awesome for this.
Patrick Reed could have so many good NFTs.
Here you could just buy Patrick Reed cheating NFTs.
Exactly. The one from the Farmers, they could show his ball bouncing and then him picking it up. Oh my God. It's endless amounts of stuff.
I mean, you might get best bang for your buck with anything JB Holmes related because they would be like 5-hour long NFTs. Here's JB Holmes freezing Alex Noren trying to win at Torrey Pines.
Yeah, that's a not great moment for me to remember, but yeah, lots of long JB Holmes NFTs.
All right, Geoff Ulrich, where can everyone follow you on Twitter and find all of your work?
At the Fantasy Grind. Pat, just give me a follow on the Twitter machine. That'd be great. You can find my stuff up at DK Nation. Got the PGA cheat sheet up there. Still doing the Osmo show on Monday, so check that out for some early content as well, after you're done watching Pat's show, of course. But give me a follow on the Twitter. Always appreciated there. Always coming up with new stuff, so appreciate that.
I'm Pat Mayo. You can follow me at the PME, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast. Leave a 5-star review while you're at it. Also subscribe to Mayo Media Network where you are watching the show if you're consuming the video version right now. Smash a like and leave me your favorite sleeper or dream matchup in the comment section as well. FantasyNational.com/Mayo will get you 20% off all the stats, all the tools, the most customizable stat database on the planet. And my cheat sheet will be up on DKPlaybook.com early on Tuesday. Remember, this tournament starts on Wednesday, so get your lineups in, especially in the Pat Mayo Experience Open, which the link is in the description of both the video and podcast right now. Thank you all for watching. Good luck. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!